How's it going? I'm Ryan. Today I'm going to go over the two trades I took on RTY today. Took an initial loss, came back and re-entered that same idea, and ended up being a win. So we're out with a small win today after we had about a little less than 2-to-1 risk reward today on our trades. So one loss, one win. We're green overall. Let's take a look at why I traded RTY. First, I'm going to hop into the 15-minute, and we're going to look at NQ, we're going to look at ES, and then we'll look at RTY. We'll be brief on those first two just because we didn't trade those. But I just want to give an overall kind of view of what I was looking at and why I traded what I did. So, close to all-time highs. We were opening within the previous day range. We had the pre-market range with these yellow levels, and then previous day high, previous day low. This is NQ that we're looking at. Opening, we were rejecting off that previous day high area and looking weak on NQ. ES was kind of hanging out in this area, but rejecting off of that pre-market high. And then we had RTY, which had relative strength and got a breakout higher and looked like it was set up for some continuation. So in trading, I'm looking for relative strength or relative weakness. I'm looking for some sort of trend that I can essentially just look to enter on a pullback and bet on continuation in the direction of whatever strength or weakness is shown. So RTY gave me that. We got a nice, strong, clean breakout higher on the 15-minute, on the 5-minute, 2-minute, all-time lines, all the time frames are aligned is what I'm trying to say. So at this point, what I'm watching for is a pullback to enter long. We pull back to this 13 EMA. After watching RTY a few times, I've noticed kind of a pattern of it being really volatile in terms of this morning. Like, we got a really aggressive move to the upside, and when we get a pullback, it's usually deeper, more aggressive than normal as well because of how aggressively it moved up. It also pulls back aggressively. So I waited, and I didn't take an entry on the initial test of the EMA. Instead, I let this 2-minute close here, and I entered on the following. The reason why I did that is we had really nice high volume. We tested that EMA, and then we closed above it and held. So I entered following that. I wanted to see us test and hold that EMA, and then I would enter. And I entered, and I risked off of the low of that candle, and I was stopped out. So we came down a little bit lower, stopped me out, but then we got another kind of surge, and well, not a whole lot, but we did get a little bit rise in volume, and we reclaimed that EMA. In here, I re-entered my long, placed my stop below these wicks again. So same thing, about a 3-point stop, and I targeted this high. So I should say it's pretty much the exact same trade that I took initially. I entered here, I had about a 3-point stop below that low, or a 3-point stop, which was just below that low, excuse me, and I targeted it high. Same thing, I entered here, had about a 3-point stop below these candle lows, and then I targeted that high again. So it was a 6-point target, or a little over 6-point target for about a 3-point risk, so about 2-to-1 on this trade. So first trade didn't work, we got stopped out. Second trade did work. We kind of found our momentum, we held up, and we started to move up. I felt confident re-entering this trade for a few reasons. One of the reasons was the 15-minute looked really clean, right? That 15-minute looked really nice. We get a nice move higher. We have a bullish hammer on the 15-minute, and then we looks like we're headed to the upside. 5-minute as well, right? We come down, we hold, we get a little bit of a doji. We start to form like a higher low, and then continuation. 2-minute as well, right? We're holding right around this EMA. We lost it for a second, but then flipped it back, started to hold, and make our way higher for higher lows here on the 2-minute, higher highs, higher lows. And as well as I was watching ES. ES was starting to turn around. Excuse me, I switched that too fast. ES was starting to find a low here and move to the upside. And NQ was kind of finding a low here and starting to retest that pre-market low. So NQ was definitely the weakest, but both NQ and ES were starting to form a low and make a bounce. And whether that bounce was short-lived or long-lived didn't matter too much to me because I was trading relative strength. And all I needed to see was just kind of general market consensus that we were going to at least bounce. And I figured if we could get a bounce on ES, on NQ, if we could just get a general market-wide bounce, then there was a good chance that RTY showing the strength that it had would also continue higher. And that's kind of the idea, right? We had the time frames aligning, then we checked the other two indices, and those were both kind of starting to bottom and bounce. We don't know if those are going to reverse and be green or what, but we're just looking for some strength in the short term across the general market to carry us to that high a day and hit our target. Now, I definitely left some on the table. I didn't know. I don't really have any targets on this because it's all-time highs. So I was conservative and took it just below high a day. But then we ran, another 8 points or so. So definitely left a little bit of juice on the table, but we're happy with it, right? We had a little bit larger of a loss than I'd normally take. 180 on this. It's a little bit larger. I'd like to keep it like 150 or less. So a little bit larger than we like. But then we had a decent sized win, 330. That's a good sized win for me. So overall, we are up 144. If we round up, $144. We're at an all-time high on the account. Our trailing drawdowns maxed out, so we're feeling really good about all those things. 2 accounts, both of them sitting at all-time highs, and yeah, pretty solid. We're happy to end the week that way and head into next week. Just looking to make continuous improvements and move in the right direction. So far, so good. We were a lot more patient and kind of disciplined this week with our trades, and they happen to work out for us. So that's all I got for you. I hope you have a great day. Thank you for watching. Peace.